And here we go. To you, Thomas.
All right, welcome. Thanks for joining us. We'll give a little update on things we have recently implemented in DX and also a few things that are just around the corner. And we're pretty excited about these, and hopefully you guys will have a chance to try them out and let us know any feedback. And as always, if you have questions in between, let us know. And along the way, we have more speakers that will also talk about some of our other features that was recently shipped, as well as a bit an outlook on the roadmap from Kyle. Let's get started. We'll take a look at our AI integration first. And might be aware that we recently started with AI integration for DX, and we're integrating with ChatGPT or OpenAPI, what is the company that produced ChatGPT, and basically we'll show a little demo here on how to use it. And this is Content Composer. So the first UI where we added this was Content Composer. The next UI, we'll see that in a second as well, is the Wickham Offering UI. So here I have some English content that I just grabbed from our HCL website. And the new buttons that are there in Content Composer for AI are this Generate button, where you can basically have a little shortcut to generate a description for you without having to generate that. And similar to that also for keywords, where we generate the keywords for you. The idea then is that you can use those keywords later on, for instance, for display or for search to show the right data to the users based on your AI analysis. And this is customizable in the sense that you can control the temperature of what is being generated, meaning that how creative the AI will be for you. Maybe you want to be a little bit more creative on a marketing side and maybe a little bit less on an online banking side. Similar to that, also, we have a functionality to give you a sentiment back. So if you're not really sure if what you wrote is as positive as you would like it to be, you can check that out. Very useful also for a language that you might maybe not be as familiar in. So let's take a look at German. And we have a little bit of a German text here. This is basically a description of the Portlet API, and we'll see what it generates for us. In this case, there's some control as well on what language you want to have this generated in. In this case, it generated it for me here. What is a fairly decent description of it. And then let's see what kind of keywords we're getting back. We're getting some keywords back as well, and we can also see how positive this particular is, and it's pretty neutral, so it's not that excited about the Portlet API. But we could make this now a little bit nicer to see if we can get a more positive description. And just for a little sample, since we have a team as well, development team in Manila, you can see how powerful it is, that it really is able to understand also languages that are not our traditional main English and so on, but also languages from other areas. So here generated the summary for us, and actually in Tagalog as well. And I had our Manila team help us to actually find out, and it is a fairly good description as well. And we also can generate some keywords. And that's a little bit for AI. Now, this was in Content Composer. Now, this is not shipped yet, something that we're looking to ship very shortly here. So we'll try this on my local system here as we still develop some features. This is our Wickham Offering UI, and we're planning to add the similar functionality here for the Wickham Offering UI as well. So I can generate the AI description here, and actually, you might be aware, or maybe not, is that this is pluggable, meaning you can plug in your own AI interface under that. And in my local system, I plugged in Google Vertex here instead of ChatGPT. So it's something that we're also looking at getting out there soon for you. And if we take a look at the keywords here in the profile, we can also generate keywords. And similar to that also, there will be functionality for getting sentiment back. while we're here, like a little feature that we're also currently working on that I wanted to showcase for a second is a little enhancement for friendly URLs. I know we're all always excited about having SEO friendly URLs out there. And in the past, you might be aware that if you have action URLs, these action URLs would not always generate friendly URLs. So I'm submitting this action here, and you can still see that the action is submitted, so it knows what was actually happening, and still the URL is being friendly. That's something that's also coming up. And the idea is to be able to configure this per portlet. So on this unfriendly one, if I generate one here, then we have our classic not so friendly URLs, but of course they have their advantages in case of bookmarks or so on. So another little feature that we're going to add. Now jumping back to Content Composer here, one other feature that we got as feedback just from you as user group was that you cannot create content in the portal site library. So that's something that we have added for you. So if I want to create some content under one of our pages here, I can do so now. And let's just take an article. So, yay, manage pages. So I know that this was one of the things that prevented you from being able to use Content Composer more. So we are trying to fill those gaps to make it possible for business users to work with Content Composer as a more fresh and modern UI. And there's a few more gaps that we're aware of, like the site area management, but also let us know what you think or other things that you think need filled so that you can use the Content Composer more. Save the item here and jump on to the next feature. Another item that we heard from you guys was the ability in a DAM to move assets between collections. So in our little asset manager collection here, now I have the ability to move and also rename. So that's things that we heard that folks were really interested in, and we'll move this. So currently it is in demo 2, and we'll move this to demo 1. We'll have that moved, and otherwise we'll take a look for our item. This is what's happening in the background is check the reference as well. So since you might have references from Wickham for these assets and you don't want to like break any links here, we will check those references for you. In this case now, this slightly unenthusiastic picture of me moved from demo 2 to demo 1.
Is that your mugshot?
I think this was a shot back in the day when I joined HCL.
Now look at you. Now look at you. It's all great now.
Yeah. The other thing that's coming here in this area as well is not only will you be able to move assets as I'm showing here, but also the ability to move collections overall will be possible. And of course, all of these changes also stage over to your target environment. We have done some improvements on the staging of DAM as well. We'll see a little bit in a minute here. Now, the next feature I'm going to show is our documentation enhancements and improvements for integrating with OpenAuth providers. Now, this is a hot topic with customers. They want to use, let's say, Azure authentication instead of having an actual login portlet being hosted by DX. And this was something that we brought out with 2.1.4. And after I click login here, what happens is we are being redirected to the Keycloak UI. And this could be any kind of IDP provider. It could be Microsoft Azure. It could be one of the many other ones that are out there now. And after I log in, what happens is we're going to be brought back to DX and users automatically logged in. And all of this is documented in an exact step-by-step procedure for you. So if you're interested in using IDP or OpenAuth, that is totally possible with DX. And we have made the process easier to use. And then if you're wondering about logout, right, not only are we, of course, important to do a single sign-on, it's also single sign-out is a relevant step. So in this case now, we're logging out from the IDP provider. And then after the logout, we are being brought back to DX, in this case, to the anonymous area of DX. Well, next things I'm going to show, and I'm just flying here through features as always. Feel free to ask questions or bring up topics later on in the chat. We'll pick those up. So you've used the picker possibly before within WCM to pick a DAM item, but we know that when you write your own applications, be it some kind of SPA or a third-party website, you might want to use the picker as well to integrate assets. So for that, we have now a public model on how you can launch and select items from the picker. We have a JavaScript snippet you can just insert into your application. And what happens on the cover is that we load a web component, and that web component then at the moment shows you the DAM items. Let's take a look here. For instance, my demo, and I can also preview that as I go. And then once I select it, I can also even look at properties too, if I'm interested in any of the configuration, or even copy the link if I want to. But then basically, once I select the item, I can integrate this item then into my application, basically by getting the reference as a JavaScript event from the picker here. So if I press the select item, we we'll get the event back in the browser. And now if this application could then show basically what was just picked from the UI. And we're going to extend this picker further. So as you saw right now, this picker mainly shows DAM items, but we know that you also want to pick content items. And in the future, whatever else we might provide, of course, is wide open to imagination. And of course, your requirements as well. Maybe you want to pick a LEAP form, or you want to pick a script application. Like all of those could be possibilities we might have in the future. That was it for the picker. The next thing I'm going to look at is Wickham comments. So this was a requirement we received from various customers, and implemented based on that is the ability to comment on content or comment on applications. This is kind of somewhat one intranet scenario. So we'll be able here to write comments, and these comments are stored inside WCM. You can use workflow as well as access control to control who can create the comments, who can move those comments or approve them or delete them. And you can like them. In this case, now I'm logged in as the same user. It shows the user. If there's a picture for the user, it will also show that. My WCM user does not have a picture, but it will show that as well in case you have one. You can like it. Or maybe not like it. You can reply to it. Currently, it's nested one level. If you customize this interface, you can also possibly nest it further down, but at the moment, we started off with a one-level nesting.
One question about the comment system. Is this going to be also available as a REST API? Or this is something that, I mean, how does it work behind the scenes?
Right, so we have a library, and you can, when you want to display it, we have a plugin, a Wickham plugin tag you can insert into your content. And then under the covers, we are actually making a REST call whenever you add something here to store the content in WCM. You could already do that if you wanted to, like if you wanted to write this before we added this feature, you could also call our REST API to create a comment. Now, we store the comment in the right area for you, and we also have an ability to clean up those comments in case the content is no longer there. This is somewhat related to content that you have on a page or content that's referenced by the item. And we have this as a page component as well. So you can also add it as a page component, or alternatively, you can use the Wickham tag because it's just a tag, right? To render, or you can use the render tag to render the page component inside your theme, inside the script application. Like in all of those places, you can have comments.
Okay.
All right, we'll jump on to our next feature. That is content reporting. This is a new UI, and this is available both for traditional deployments as well as Kubernetes deployments. So in here, I can search for different contents and generate basically a report. We'll see everything that expires between today and let's say Monday. Now I can find all these items. In the past, it might have been a little bit harder to find those. And we have these bulk updates as part of content reporting. So now I can update it and define an expiry to say, hey, this content is worthwhile. And I also don't want to be bothered until next year. And I want to update this and run the task. And now the task kicks off and will update my items. Currently, as you saw, the update functionality provides the ability for updating the expiry date. Now, as we go, we're adding more features here, like being able to update the offer, the user, possibly access rights, a whole slew of other things that we're adding based on requirements and ideas from you. And here we can see this update successfully. You can see the items too. And I can even jump into the content as well. So what this opens is another tab with my item, and I can check that in the workflow, it now updated the expiry date to 2024. We also have the ability to export items as well. So in this case, this generates a CSV file for me. Maybe what I want to do is take that CSV file and send it to the authors, or maybe some administrator to see, or maybe even the legal team. Can we even extend the expiry? Do we have to remove this content? Is there any concerns with that? So that can also be helpful to generate an export before you do the update. You can also see like what happened in the past in terms of updates. In this case here, we saw that this happened, so it updated those 3 items successfully. In case something did not go right, you can also check and see if there was any issues. So here we see all of our 3 items were updated. As admin, I can see all of the updates that happened on the system over time. Now we'll jump for a second into more Kubernetes items. There's some improvements that we have taken here. This is a native kube deployment that we have here. And I'm going to point out a few improvements in the values YAML. So one of the things that can be very helpful is our new maintenance mode. So the with the new maintenance mode that you can enable in this maintenance mode, what happens is that we start up the container, but we do not process anything. Now, if you want to do some kind of system configuration, I think Daniele earlier alluded to that he has to run some config engine tasks or some other operation, or maybe if you want to debug something, you can turn on the maintenance mode and then get into the container, work with whatever you need to do without getting interrupted by the probes. Now, this was a pain point that we have heard from many customers where they might have forgotten some passwords or some configuration item. They tried to apply the latest Helm updates, and they had an issue then getting in between the probes to fix the issue or even finding out what went wrong. So here the maintenance mode is really helpful with that particular challenge and will hopefully make it easier for you. The other item I wanted to mention, and that was again like something that came up in the user group. So we are really listening to you guys on these items, is the ability to have different credentials for the config wizard and not the same one as the default user. And there was also some issues with maybe renaming the user and not using WPS admin, but using, I don't know, Daniele admin instead. So this is now possible. The config wizard is persisted, and you can change the user ID and password of the config wizard separately from what we use for DX.
Absolutely welcome. I'm using it already. And it's also because in some environments and in general, you don't want to have password into values. So we now do secret management outside the Helm chart. So that's welcome.
Awesome. And we want to hear from you, right? As always, like any pain points as well as features that you would like to hear and see in the product. We are going to turn around and we'll make it happen. As long as Kyle says it's okay to go.
It's okay.
So in here with DX Client, we have made a bunch of improvements with DX Client. And if you're not familiar with DX Client, it's like kind of our Swiss Army knife of tools. It allows you to do all kinds of things like personalization imports, trigger them, staging. So one of the items that is new is finding staging mismatches, and also in the future, the ability to correct those mismatches. Maybe you made some changes in DAM and there was like a problem with the network and it wasn't able to connect and some updates didn't get sent. We now have the ability to find possible mismatches between your source and target system. In the future, also correct those. Another very exciting item is the DX Client Live Sync. The ability here is for developers being able to push the theme, start working with the theme, and any live changes they're doing are being automatically uploaded to the server. This is kind of for live editing, any kind of web dev items in the theme. So as we are going and replacing all of our older tools that we had out there, we are adding the functionality to DX Client. And as you can see, there's quite a list of different configurations and tools that you can run with DX Client, and we will keep on expanding to that as we go. Finishing up here, a few things I want to mention. You might be aware of our HCL Tech Software GitHub site. We keep on updating and providing samples for you and tools. The DX Portlet Development Utilities is a Maven-based interface where you can create your own portlet quickly just with a single Maven command and then get started from there. Similar to that, we also have a portlet in there with a Maven archetype for editing and creating pages. So if you want to mass create pages or mass update pages, we have an application in there with the public API that's being used to do that. I know that this API is not always straightforward. So we wrote a little sample for you that showcases on how you can use it. So in the page import here, I've written the code for building the pages in this little portlet here that also showcases like how you can do it with the APIs. Last thing I want to show is a little of our future foray into Liberty. So you might, one of the big items that we have going on is moving away from IBM Web Application Server and transitioning to Open Liberty, using a later Java, using a later J2E, using recent and the latest other Java libraries that you might need, just to make it more fun and easy to interact and also make it faster and more cloud native. In this case here, this is actually running DX on a local Liberty system. You can see not all of the portlets are here yet. And that's like an ongoing item that we have going on. So if I bring this up and make a new incognito window and go to Liberty. Some of our portlets are working. We can log in at the moment as well, and we can see after login the different data being displayed. So we'll go to administration. So all of the navigation is there, login, log out, all that is functioning. We can also use the REST APIs against DX and if I bring up the REST APIs. We can use the REST APIs once to get all the content here that is currently in the system. So WCM is functioning. We can also render content as we go. We can get, for instance, all the existing content in the system back. We're still working on getting all of the applications working. One of the first ones that we ported over and was the credential Vault portlet. So you can see all the system slots here. You can create a new Vault slot. The other cool thing is that this can run now natively on Mac as well. Ooh. Meaning the challenges that we had in the past with IBM Application Server not running on Mac is solved by using Liberty. And that was just a little foray into our Liberty here. So we are planning to also provide a separate portlet container, so you can integrate a portlet container via WSLP and scale the portlets independently on Kubernetes. That's also an upcoming feature. And that's using the portlet container under the covers. With that, I think I already used too much time, and we'll hand it over to the next person in line. Hopefully this was helpful and interesting, and we're hoping to get some feedback from you when you get to try out these APIs and features. Thank you.
Oh, wow. And first of all, thanks to Thomas for getting us through all of this. Now, everybody has the opportunity to ask questions. I can promote you to share. Oh, no, wait. We have extras here, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have at least 2 more presenters.
Yeah, sorry. I will cut this out.
more questions to add you to your list.
All right, here we go. Okay, just quickly, never follow Thomas when presenting. So, but anyways, I want to share with everybody on the phone. There's been some communication that's been sent out about this, but I just want to make sure everybody's aware on the phone, because it's a big deal and very important for our customers and our partners out there in terms of getting more value from their investment in DX. And with that, we are now shipping Volt Foundry with our cloud native part number. And for those who are wondering what Foundry is, it really is like an API management, orchestration, data integration layer. It comes with over 200 connectors designed to accelerate integration with our backend systems. And so you can understand why it's important for us to, be including this in our product, because the whole idea about our product is about building out integration, and anything we can do to accelerate that, I'm sure is welcome. And then you can see the partnership that's going on between the Volt team and DX. And there's more in the queue, so to speak. But the obvious relationship between DX and Volt MX is apparent, right? Because basically they're both used to build experiences around those touch points that for those users who are integrate or interacting with our customers. So anyway, really excited about this. There's a sample app with the digital data connector available in the Software U. I got one more slide on this just to kind of drill down in this, right? So if you really think about what Volt Foundry adds to the bag around DX, there are a lot of things when you think about when you're doing integrations to backend systems that Foundry does a really great job of accelerating, standardizing on, and making it easier to build out those backend integrations, right? You got to think about security. Are you, orchestrating 3, 4, 5 APIs together into one Uber API call? Governance, right? To make sure that there are guardrails around it, analytics to see what APIs are being used, workflow, the connectors. So there's a lot of enterprise grade, integration chops beyond the connectors that really come with Volt Foundry, and we're very excited about this. You can see some of the statistics, right? 80% reduction in code, 75% of the time spent on developing an app is the integration. So we're going to reduce that. And then the ability to potentially, achieve up to 60% reduction in time to market, right? That's what we're after with this and what we're trying to provide our customers. And of course, with DX, we provide that rich set of integration options, independent of skill set. People can build out meaningful experiences that quickly consume the APIs that are coming out of Volt Foundry. So very excited about that. And also what I'm excited about is our marketplace. So DX Marketplace launched over the summer. Let's go have a look. So here we are, HCL SoFy /DX. It's marketplace to come in, grab extensions, business solutions, in reference to products as well. And so you can see this is a starting point for, our customers and partners to get value-added components for DX. And so you can see we have some samples out here. We have more in the queue that are going to be coming. Obviously, if you're looking to get visibility to the DX customer install base, and you have value-added extensions, business solutions, or products, I'll show you in the next slide what we have for the process to get over. But this isn't just designed for HCL. If you have some value add that you would like to get up on this marketplace, we are happy to support that. So there's more coming. This is a call to me asking for, anybody and everybody who has some value add. Let's go out into the marketplace. And just from a broader perspective, so everybody understands, this is not just the DX marketplace. Marketplaces in an initiative across the board within all of HCL. So there'll be, one for Volt and so on and so forth. So just be aware that this is across HCL software initiative to have marketplaces available for people to come out and be the standardized way that you get value-added components. And so here, just let me click down so you guys can see, right? So how to participate. So here are the instructions for how to get access or how to add an asset into and participate in the marketplace. So just a quick high-level overview of that. And with that, I'm going to wrap up and pass it over to Herbert.
Okay, thanks, Kyle. Let me try to share my screen. I think you need to stop sharing first.
It's going to cost you. Oh, no, wrong one. Stop sharing. There you go.
Okay, yeah, now I can share it. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to give some quick updates on HCL SoFy U and the specific DX solution modules that we are preparing for you, customers or partners, to better understand what's actually part of DX and how you actually can learn applying it and actually take a look at how this was implemented and maybe cheat from it and reuse it. So HCL SoFy U, if you haven't looked at that yet, I strongly suggest you to do that. So it's for free, right? So just go to HCL SoFy U, and there is a dedicated page for digital experience. where you have access to all the webinars that are upcoming, etc., but also the learning journeys, right? And in these learning journeys, you're able to get an introduction on DX. This is very short, to get you feedback on what's new, right? So here we discuss all those new, what's part of the kilometer fix, to learn how a business user can use our solution, how you would actually develop that experience that the business user have, and how you can deploy DX and secure it for those business users. A very important topic is also integration. I mean, DX is really all around the integration, in addition to managing all the contents and digital assets. So we are creating a lot of courses that helps you to understand how you can integrate and how the integration actually works for business users, how you would deploy and secure it as an administrator, and how you can actually customize it as a developer. And there's also for our partners and sales, of course, there's a sales and partner section only. So what's new on that? In the summer, we have, of course, added dedicated lessons for the latest 2 kilometer fixes. There are typically between 5 and 10 minutes. So within 5 and 10 minutes, you get access to those, get a quick overview of what's in it, but it also gives you all the links to details where you can learn about these news topics. We completely refreshed the business users, so DX for business users for beginners. And it's now based on CF213, so it also includes content reporting and comments and things like that. For the administrators, we've added an upgrade lesson that was highly requested, which gives you a quick overview of how you would typically do an upgrade to get to the latest versions, and maybe even move to container-based deployments. Digital Data Connector is one of our great tools that many people actually didn't understand. So we have created a lesson on that. And again, with all these lessons, we provide you an introduction to the topic, but we also then provide you a demo of how you actually can use it, and a lab that allows you actually to get it done yourself, so to learn how to use it. So this allows you now to learn how to use this digital data connector. And of course, we use it to integrate many of our solutions, including VoltMX. So you will see that in the integration development for DX. We now also have a lesson that actually explains you how you can integrate DX and VoltMX in 2 ways. So use assets and content in VoltMX in your iOS applications, but also configure them in Foundry. So learn how you actually use the API management solution part of Foundry to integrate any kind of solutions, and to change those connections and functionalities into REST APIs, which you then can consume very easily in a Digital Data Connector or a LEAP or other solutions. For the administrator and the developer lessons for beginners, if you complete all the lessons and pass the test, you now get a certificate of completions for that as well. So you can actually download those and put it on your desk or on your walls, or share it on the social media. And then specifically for the sales and partners, there's a new selling digital experience course. We've updated the offerings and pricing lessons. Now we have this new Foundry inclusions and things like that. Updated the vision roadmap to learn more details on what's coming with DX. And in the industry, you will find more references for each of these products. Then if I go to the solution modules, so this for SoFy. So SoFy in the marketplace, but also in the standard catalog of SoFy, you will find one of the business solutions, which is called DX solution modules. In this DX solution modules, in one click, you can deploy it. So you get a full deployment of DX, including all the capabilities, including the DAM, the content composer, but we also included LEAP, right? So you also get a latest version of LEAP in there. And then you can try out a whole set of business solutions right away. You can actually watch recorded demos. You can actually download the lab resources to try them out themselves. But we also use it as the basis for lots of these trainings, because all the trainings in HCLSoftware U, there is a hands-on, right? And the hands-on, we want to give you an environment that actually is ready for you to try out those kind of capabilities. So the links are below here. And what you will see is we have a lot of integrations in it out of the box with Voltamix, with Commerce, with same time with Domino, with Leap, etc., etc. And so what we updated in the summer is this. So we updated the exclusion modules to the latest version at that time available to 13. So we're currently updating it again for the newer version. And we updated also to the most recent Leap version at that time. We enabled comments, content reporting, and we added new component for alerting. TinyNC is now enabled for in-place editing. More updates on the integrations. And we've added also a new industry demo, which is currently in tech preview. So you won't see the tile, but if you look at the sites which are deployed, you will see there's a Woodman Bank site. And actually, it has quite a lot of integrations with Unica on that. And we also have a webhooks tech preview. So that is actually what I wanted to share. And feel free to try this out yourself, of course. So again, if you go to here, you can actually go to this place and see, for example, what's new, go to what's new in 2023. And you see that for every lesson, we got a dedicated specific lesson for the CFs, and quick video here at 7 minutes with all the lesson links to each to get more details on the topics you're learning in that one. If I go to the integration part here, this is where you see that we have, for example, the integration with Voltamix. So if you go here to Voltamix, you will see that that you can learn how the integration works in 2 ways as a developer. But below there is a lab that allows you to download and try out. So use the assets, the content in Voltamix in 2 kinds of applications, a mobile and a web application, and then use Foundry to integrate external data sources into DX, right? And then also even web applications into DX as well. Again, links available for you to try out, download the lab and have fun with it. So with that, let's go back and open the session for questions.
Perfect. Now, now we got all the content, and now it's time for you guys and gals to open your microphone and ask whatever comes to your mind, because I think that nobody on earth has the time to figure out and test out all the things that are getting released. We are now on a fast-paced release cycle. So I admit I didn't see everything. I didn't test out everything myself. So great to have this update. Any questions from the audience beside me? So guys, we have seen pickers, AI, content reporting, new extensibility, new education, new SoFy. I'm summarizing the Liberty based portal that can run on a Mac. What else we have seen? Oh, the commenting plugins. We have seen a lot of stuff. Questions coming to your mind, stuff that you want to know and understand.
Also things that you feel are missing that you want to bring up, or what we should work on next, because Kyle is always taking notes on this list of things to prioritize.
Good point. Oh, and reminding, sorry.
Just a process question. Folks should unmute to ask a question, because I noticed the chat is not available.
Chat is not available?
Who's throwing this meeting?
Not to me. That says chat disabled, but maybe that's me.
Which is strange. Anyway, you should have the question and answers tool. And everybody has a microphone in their hands, so don't be shy. No. I got the first. Okay. What use case are you addressing when Foundry is integrated to DX? So what I can rephrase or try to rephrase, what's the role of Foundry in DX?
Yeah, I'll start. The other people can jump in. You know, the role of Foundry is all around integrating into basically, typically your like core backend systems, the SAPs of the world, maybe the Salesforces of the world, but also like, to the Salesforce reference, right? The cloud services out there that drive your business, right? If you think about, the DX websites that are out there and the different backend systems that they integrate with, Foundry is designed to help and accelerate that, right? And that's where those 200 plus connectors are growing, and we're also working on adding more connectors. There's an effort underway to increase that. Foundry itself has its own marketplace for connectors as well. So anyways, the idea is, if you're thinking about, pulling in API or even your own custom APIs, right? That's a use case too, right? If you want to standardize on an API that's been built within your organization and you want to wrap it with security, governance, analytics, all the rest of that, Foundry will really help with that. But the idea is that Foundry is designed to accelerate the integrations into your core backend systems.
And here we go. We got the first answer now.
Yeah, and I also shared a link to the public documentation where you learn more about what Foundry actually does. But indeed, one of the great things is it allows you to manage the access control to external applications. And if those external applications do not provide for example, REST APIs, you can actually use the API management to build the right REST APIs that you then easily consume with LEAP or with Digital Data Connector or with script applications to build beautiful interfaces on top of that, as an example.
I take the opportunity to remind everybody that there is an ideation portal from HCL for all your ideas and for getting stuff voted. And we use that in the Discord community, and we will share the link here and in the recorded video, because if you really want something to happen, beside bugging the team in calls or in Discord, there is a formal process to describe what's your idea, and that gets worked on by the product team. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is HCL DXers around, correct?
Yeah, so AHA portal, and you can submit ideas, and we're screening them. Also ask questions in case we don't understand what you're asking for. But yeah, it's a great place to share requests, and of course you can also bring it up in Discord too.
Perfect. And now one other question is, let me try to understand if the integrated solution can now be expanded to other environments. Will single sign-on be supported? I don't get the full scope of this question. If you want to extend the question or ask the question directly to the audience, that would help a lot.
Related to the IDP solution that we have shown. So if you're authenticated to Keycloak or Microsoft Authentication or whatever, right, that works as single sign-on as well, meaning that if you're, let's say, authenticated to Keycloak and you don't want to use LTPA as a single sign-on mechanism, you can use the IDP provided authentication across multiple applications. So you don't have to use LTPA. Interpreting that as the question.
And we also have a raised hand by Giancarlo. Giancarlo, you want to jump in? No?
Not sure if he can get off mute.
I have one question about the X client. I'm using it a lot. Every day I learn a new trick. And one question is about the live sync feature, which is now helping the development of teams. Are you looking into extending that to Wickham artifacts sync, like components, imagery, that kind of stuff that we'd like to be easier to manage? Is that on the Blackboard?
I mean, the WebDev toolkit currently provides some of that functionality, and what we're trying to do with DX Client is trying to replace all of that functionality. Now, when exactly is that coming? We'll let Kyle answer that, but it's definitely something we're looking at as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
So we'll probably have to get back to you when that might be, but it's definitely one of the functionalities of the toolkit that we're looking at. So you can use just the DX Client and don't have to use other tools anymore.
Yep, that's the idea.
Yeah. The real question is when.
I mean, now we can ask the question because we know that stuff is coming. So we are improving at every release. So I want to be positive on everything. Oh, now I have another question here. When do you think we will get a public beta of the Liberty-based?
Ooh.
Even public alpha, not beta, alpha, just to, I mean, people with many years of experience know the config engine beast. With Liberty, this is probably changing a lot. It would be interesting getting prepared early to the change. We all hope it would be a nicer word. Okay, but it would be interesting to have a sort of deep dive in what changes, what stays the same, what should we prepare for, and so on.
One of the first things that we're planning to release as a beta is like the portlet container, and you can basically integrate with WSIPs. That will be the first piece that we're planning to ship for trying out and to test your portlets against it. And we're looking for some feedback there too. Now, when is that happening? Tentatively looking somewhere towards like the end of the year, beginning of next year for the portlet container, and then a little bit further down the beta for the whole DX on Liberty.
Okay, I mean, the product works today. Just curious about when we need to learn a lot of new tricks.
Yeah, we'll definitely face betas in there, and also we'll plan for some good education on all that's new and how to work with it, and some of the lessons that we have learned as well for all the things that we ship and potential changes you might have to make as you go. Like, as you know, it's a newer Java version, newer J2E. So what we found that most things seem to work still, but there might be some adjustments that you might have to make as well.
Let's see. Google links are also often going back to older CF versions. Okay. Yeah. Martin, you mean that now with the new documentation, Google is indexing all the versions and you often get links to the same page on all the versions. Is that correct?
That's being worked on at the moment. Yes, that's now an issue.
Okay.
And the trick is actually, so people actually, if they create copies of the links, they keep the CF version specific in it. Actually, if you change that CF by latest, actually it will find that same content in the latest version that you're currently using. That's a little trick that you need to understand. So if you find any link that has a CF 207, for example, in it, replace CF 207 by latest, the word latest.
Okay. Perfect. And last question. If I have a need to allow remote users who may lose connectivity to still be able,
Oops, I answered it and it went away. So,
Oh, okay,
Um,
okay. Thomas did the trick. So
so you have
Thomas,
to
to
open it
you.
and answer it.
Oh, PWA, yeah.
So with the PWA feature, we added the capability for offline usage as well. And there's documentation on how you can use that now. It actually doesn't have to be in a PWA, because what PWA standard is basically brings along an offline or an agent that runs on the covers that can preload whatever data as you're online, and then basically whatever you're fetching afterwards is already like preloaded, and then the navigation still works. So we made some adjustments in the X for that, but check out the PWA documentation, and that should help you with that use case.
And if you want to play with it, the getting started with the X actually exposes you to it, because the Woodburn Studio is actually PWA enabled. So try it out.
Okay, so I see that we cover all the questions for now. Thanks to all the speakers, presenters, and thanks to everybody that joined this post-summer webinar update events. So we are up to speed with the new stuff, and see you next time.
Lots of
Thank you,
more
everybody.
features to come, so stay tuned for the fall.
Yep, absolutely.
Bye.
Thanks.
Everyone.